Thank you for making time to tune in for a dose of quick good news and joining all the other modern believers out there. I am looking forward to enjoying this cup of coffee with you today. Do you know what's the good news? That there is good news. And today, in honor of Black History Month, we are going to kick it off recognizing some black inventors that made our everyday life easier. Who is the modern believer? It's you. It's our families. It's our communities. It's individuals that know and believe that there's always good and change going on, even though we are constantly bombarded with information that tells us that it's the opposite. Happy Monday. It's February 1st, 2021. And wherever you may be, whenever and however you may be listening, it's another day to be thankful to being on the right side of the ground. Today's burning question of the day is, what is Forrest Gump's Facebook password? Stay tuned for the answer. Welcome back, and thanks for joining us in today's episode of The Modern Believer, a good news podcast to remind us that the good news is that there is good news. Before we begin, I encourage you to make that phone call, send that text, forgive that person, tell them that you love them, tell them that you've missed them, let go of that grudge, and don't take any of it for granted, and let's together show more kindness, because tomorrow isn't promised. Let's begin. Today we're going to go again over some inventions that have made our everyday life easier, that were made possible due to black inventors. So the first one is the improved ironing board, invented by Sarah Boone in 1892. The modern day ironing board was improved in the late 19th century by Sarah Boone, an African-American woman who was born enslaved. Sarah was one of the first black women in U.S. history to actually receive even a patent. She improved the original ironing board, which was essentially a horizontal wooden block, originally patented in 1858, by making a narrower, curved design that made it easier to iron garments, particularly women's clothing. Her design became the modern ironing board that we use today. Up next, the home security system, co-invented by Miss Mary Van Britten Brown in 1966. Miss Brown created an early security system for her home much before of how common it is today. She felt unsafe in her home alone in Queens, New York, while her husband was away, and with the high rates of crime in her neighborhood, that didn't help the case of her not feeling safe. Police were unreliable and unresponsive. The device she created used a camera that could slide into and look through peepholes in her front door. The camera's view would then appear on a monitor inside her own home. She slowly added more features, including a microphone to speak to anyone that was at the door, unlock the door with a button, and a button to contact the police. Over the next few years, her and her husband were awarded many more patents, and many of the systems that we have in our homes today still use elements from her original design. This next invention is something that we probably take for granted every time we get in our car. The 3-light traffic light, invented by Garrett Morgan in 1923. With only an elementary school education, Garrett Morgan came up with many inventions, including an improved sewing machine and the gas mask. However, today we are talking about the 3-light traffic light, one of his most influential inventions. Had it not been for his innovation, drivers would be directed by a 2-light system. Garrett Morgan was the first black person in Cleveland, Ohio to own a car. As a driver, he recalled he witnessed a severe car accident at an intersection. This is when he decided to expand on the 2-light traffic light by adding a yield component. The yellow light to warn drivers of an upcoming stop. Imagine you're just driving and it just goes from green to red. Well, thanks to Garrett Morgan, we got that yellow. Quick pause. Please give today's episode a like and please share it with one person. Just one, please. And if it's your first time here, follow or subscribe for more good news. For all the audio listeners, please hit that download and follow button and leave a review. If you share on social, tag me so I know. Back to the show. Automatic elevator doors, invented by Alexander Miles in 1887. Without elevators, we would have to walk several flights of stairs and perhaps be in better shape. An elevator was bound to be created sooner or later. The automatic elevator doors made riding a lift less complicated and risky. Before automatic doors, did you know people had to manually shut both the shaft and the elevator doors? Forgetting to do so led to multiple accidents of people falling down elevator shafts. Sheesh. When the daughter of Alexander Miles almost fatally fell down a shaft, he took it upon himself to create this solution. In 1887, he took out a patent for a mechanism that automatically opens and closes elevator shaft doors, and his design is largely reflected on all the elevators that we get into today. Up next, the electric microphone, co-invented by James E. West in 1964. In 1960, Dr. James E. West was tasked to create a more sensitive and compact microphone while working at Bell Labs, aka AT&T. More than 90% of the microphones used today, including microphones used in phones and cameras, use the electric microphone, co-invented by Dr. James E. West along with his German colleague Gerard Cessier, which was considerably less expensive to produce than the typically used condenser microphones. 2 years after it was invented, the final model of the microphone was developed, and in 1964 they patented the landmark invention. Only 4 years later, the new microphone was in wide production and used in hearing aids, tape recorders, most telephones, and even baby monitors. The freshness of the produce from our local grocery store can be attributed to Frederick McKinley Jones. Jones took out more than 60 patents throughout his life, including a patent for the roof-mounted cooling systems that are used to refrigerate goods on trucks. During transportation, he received a patent for his invention in 1940 and co-founded the U.S. Thermo Control Company, later known as Thermo King. The company was critical during World War II, helping to preserve blood, food, and supplies during the war. Though we can keep talking for hours, you need to go about your day. Fly, be free. But before we go, I have to give you the answer to today's burning question of the day. The question was, what is Forrest Gump's Facebook password? 1, Forrest 1. Please continue to send more good news, reach out, and share the great things going on in your community or company. I will make sure to share it with the world. What was your favorite invention today? Which invention is the one that influences you the most, or that you use the most in your daily life, or the one that you take for granted the most? Comment below or reach out to me on social and let me know. Please follow, subscribe, or leave a review. And remember, it costs $0 to be a kind human being. I love you, and I am so proud of you no matter where you are in life. You have a friend in me. Keep smiling and loving all the people we encounter in our walks of life. That smile and uplifting attitude you give them may change their day, and maybe, just maybe, thanks to the love that you give them, they start spreading that love onto others, and then we build a beautiful chain reaction of love. Stay blessed and keep fighting the good fight.